Alright, let's do it. Season 16 is the year where The Simpsons finally reached adulthood, and what could possibly be more adult than ranking its episodes? YouTube kids, get out of here. We got a top 10 to put together. I took all 21 episodes, eliminated 7 right off the bat to get our 14 semifinalists, and... wait a minute, where'd the whole middle of the season go? That's weird. Anyway, after staring disdainfully at the Disc 2 DVD menu for several hours, I eventually whittled down the last 4 episodes to get our 10 finalists. Here are my top 10 episodes of Season 16. Home Away from Homer is my nominee for the most average Simpson episode of all time. Instead of judging whether something is good or bad, we should ask, is it better than Home Away from Homer? It's just so competent. This is your standard Homer and Ned neighborly dispute. I will grant that the initial premise, where these students are secretly doing a racy live stream, is very fun and clever. Wow, we get a glimpse of what live streaming looked like back in 2005. But once Ned moves away, so does most of the excitement. The new neighbor is, of course, the typical jerk that will make Homer miss Flanders. Humbleton, Pennsylvania is suitably corny and conservative, making Ned question if this is what he really wants. There's just not much sizzle to it. They fight over Ned's mustache, and we get this funny montage, but the situation never escalates enough to be that interesting. It's like they have to underplay Humbleton to be true to the setting's roots, but can't figure out a way to portray its blandness without making the situation bland as well. I wish it weren't so bland because functionally, very little is wrong with it. Very few of the jokes bomb, it has a solid opening set piece, and the character arc works. So if this is the most average episode of all time, it's only appropriate that it lands at number 10 on this list. You know what? I'm stepping out on a limb for this one. She Used to Be My Girl is an episode that I never hear anyone talk about. Hell, I barely even think about it. But this episode features a very compelling Marge character journey. It questions how happy is Marge with her life with Homer and her kids. In addition, the story makes great use of Lisa. Of course she's going to look up to Chloe and want to follow in her footsteps, which naturally makes Marge feel even more envious. Marge becomes extraordinarily petty in this one, literally picking a fight with her after half of a glass of wine. But the conflict does feel like it comes from a real place, character-wise. It's not dependent on some plot gimmick. Now, it's not the most subtle character piece ever. Almost every single Marge scene ends with her sighing or grumbling. And the conclusion, with Marge hopping across the rocks, doesn't really pay off her character arc that well. But I like their choice to do a dangerous Act 3 set piece like the Scully era used to do. It instills some action into a very talky episode. I wouldn't say this is the funniest episode of Season 16, not all of the jokes land. It does have some solid media satire, a goofy ending, and this odd joke about Homer walking naked on stilts. But really, She Used to Be My Girl should be watched for the Marge character conflict. It's an interesting glimpse at what could have been. Remember when everyone really cared about American Idol? Wow, was A Star Is Torn a flashback to those days. All the Fox crossover cynicism aside, this is a fun little Lisa adventure with some great songs and a unique Homer dynamic. We don't often get Lisa and Homer working together in a professional setting. Him acting as her songwriter actually works from a continuity sense, and his assertive personality allows him to get stuff done, to the point of becoming an obnoxious stage parent. I think they might have gone too far with his awfulness. This yelling scene in the car is particularly unpleasant. At the same time, there's still clearly a point to all this, and they balance things just enough where you can tell that he's still in her corner. I also enjoy how much original music is in this. My favorites are definitely Lisa's Sad Cat song, and then Cameron's Privileged Boy. Some great Lenny crowd work here too. I love how he misses Lisa's cat and feels betrayed by Cameron. Don't trust people in the music business. Also, shout out to Fantasia's wonderful performance in Act 2. It's always weird to me that she isn't the rival in Act 3, that they pivot to Cameron. I could see how others might be put off by its crossover gimmick and Homer's characterization, but A Star Is Torn wins me over by its sheer entertainment value. Also, its Rumpus Room appearance. Does anyone else have a Simpsons episode that they enjoy but don't really get on a personal level? The Father, the Son, and the Holy Guest Star is one of those for me. I know a few things about Catholicism from cultural osmosis, but the individual jokes, I'm just kinda like, oh yeah, rosary beads, fish fries, and bingo, like I'm jogging my memory. I really enjoy the Bart angle of the story, how he gets stuck in this strict private school, but Liam Neeson's character figures out a way to relate to him and make religion interesting. He brings a friendly charm to the character, where you get why Homer and Bart would be drawn in. Pacing-wise, I wish there were a few more scenes or character moments showing their religious conversion. As is, it's done very quickly using a montage, so their big dust-up with Marge comes off as flimsier and arbitrary than it probably should. That being said, the episode's lighter approach does mean they have more fun with this rather introspective topic. We'll get Marge's fantasy of waspy Protestant heaven versus the fun Catholic heaven, how Marge admits in the end she knew one of these dumb things would work. It's one of the rare episodes where Bart gets to step in and deliver a reasonable moral to everyone. No wonder they formed a religion around him 1,000 years later. And to think, none of this would have ever happened if Skinner weren't such a dick to groundskeeper Willie. All's Fair in Oven War is one of those Simpsons episodes with an incredibly forgettable premise, but makes up for it with strong execution. I don't give a crap about the Simpsons getting a new kitchen, or Marge battling it out with these unscrupulous chefs. Do we really care about Lisa being disappointed with Marge's cheating, when everyone competing are giant assholes? Especially Agnes, but especially Stuart. Despite my lack of personal investment, I still find myself having a great time. The individual scenes flow together so well, and are packed with so many memorable gags. Observational kitchen jokes, Homer's various renovation attempts, his fantasy sequence with the food mascots, this caution wet keyhole, basically everything about the Bart and Milhouse B-plot. I love how childish and naive Bart and Milhouse are in this one. It's so adorable. How they're cheering about being Play-Dude playmates, decorating their treehouse to match the picture. How James Caan is like, some men like a challenge, I don't. Season 16 has a bad tendency to have B-plots that don't go anywhere, and this is the rare exception with a hilarious payoff. I think if the Marge character arc had more substance to it, or the contest were more exciting, this would be a modern classic. But as is, it's more of an under-the-radar example that will surprise you with its quality. A fun diversion with a smart script and charming characters. Except for Stuart, he's an asshole. You know what's great about Don't Fear the Roofer? It's so relaxed and easygoing. This episode is as cool as the other side of the pillow. Ray Romano brings such a down-to-earth and chill demeanor to Ray Magini. How he'll just magically show up and want to eat nachos with Homer, have a nail gun fight, whatever. Yeah, I agree with Homer. I would totally hang out with Ray, especially if I were being hounded so much about fixing that roof. Even in the second half, in the mental hospital, there is this amusing, relaxed way about it. Homer literally spends most of Act 3 strapped to a bed or being electroshocked, but it never comes off as especially bleak. It's like both Homer and the audience are used to this kind of drama by now and would rather have fun with it. Dr. Hibbert veers closely into Dr. Nick territory, but he does deliver some very memorable and funny gags. Then, with the final twist, they do a nice job lampshading how improbable and convenient these kinds of explanations are. The black hole thing is really over the top, and I side-eye it just a little, but I appreciate how committed to the bit they are, how they all turn to Lisa for validation. The downside to all of this, and why it only lands at number 5, is that there is such a thing as being too relaxed and down to earth. It's certainly the most low-energy episode of Season 16. You know an episode is low energy when its B-plot ends up being only 2 scenes long. Or maybe we just all imagined there was a B-plot in this episode. Future Drama is an episode that I've always really liked, but I've never considered it to be top tier. This thing's got an excellent emotional core with Bart and Lisa, something Season 16 desperately needs. There's a legitimate argument that this is the most heartwarming moment of the season. In addition, thanks to being a flash forward, this thing is jam-packed with fun technology jokes, continuity nods, and peeks into characters' futures. Gotta get more of that Kearney continuity. Gotta get more Martin robot jokes. I love how they play this awkward moment between Mrs. K and Bart, and how clearly Nelson is regretting some of his life choices. I even kind of dig the brave decision to split up Homer and Marge, creating a parallel storyline alongside the kids' romantic woes. Where future drama struggles is in its pacing. It never feels like any plot point gets to breathe for that long because the story is juggling so many elements. Some of the stakes can feel flimsy, how the story robs Lisa of any actual agency to change her own future. I guess her life is ruined forever. Despite those issues, future drama understands that the Bart and Lisa relationship is what is most important, and it definitely nails that angle. Season 16 is the year with their miserable restraining order adventure, so it's refreshing to see an episode that gets them so right. Sleeping with the Enemy is such a wonderful character spotlight for both Marge and Nelson, two characters you don't associate together, but have such a compelling dynamic. We get Marge at her most introspective, feeling underappreciated and actively trying to fill a hole in her heart. And for Nelson, finding a parental figure who is actually nice to him. I love the character acting on Nelson here, how he drops his guard and reacts to the Simpsons house like a wild animal. And the Papa Can You Hear Me song. I don't know what it is about the Yentl-Nelson crossover, but it works so well. Seriously, one of my favorite moments from middle Simpsons. Lisa's B-plot about her body image problems is fairly shallow, but they do get some great jokes and social commentary out of it. I've always really enjoyed this scene, a rare moment where Lisa loses her self-control. I do worry sometimes that they treat this subplot a bit too casually, as Lisa is teetering on the edge of a disorder. They frame all of it around how stupid and mean the world is, with a pretty stupid and mean ending, which helps it from getting too heavy. Honestly, the ending is what holds back Sleeping with the Enemy from being number one on this list. I like the heartwarming moment, but the whole peanut allergy with the circus has always struck me as weak. We don't even get to see Bart figure things out. I am glad that Nelson got a happy ending with his family, even if it doesn't last. And hey, if Sleeping with the Enemy is gonna jumpstart an entire Nelson storyline, then I gotta give it its flowers. The Heartbrook Kid is great. There are so many jokes in this thing that are permanently lodged in my brain, and not just the "Kata Hey cheese." It's fun to obey the machine. Marge becomes a robot. The recreation of the opening sequence. What the family? Tough luck. Homer singing 99 Luftballons. Homer singing the second verse of 99 Luftballons. The cheeseburger argument. Also, for some reason, I love this German guy. What is this, the time of Charlemagne? Answer me now. This episode is so ridiculous. Despite said ridiculousness, it does have something to say, touches on a very relevant issue in American schools. Bart has an addictive personality like his father, so of course he's gonna overindulge when it's right there in the hallway. It's interesting how they structure his character arc, how they'll fast forward via montage, hit him with a heart attack, and then it becomes a story of turning things around. It's like they jam most of the action in the beginning and end, resulting in a sleepy lull in the middle of Act 2. Thankfully, once Albert Brooks shows up, things perk up again. Yeah, this is definitely not peak Albert Brooks, but he brings so much awkward energy to his role that it's still great. Shh, drama. Also, I like that they circle back around and let Bart destroy the vending machines, actually remembering the inciting incident. In many ways, The Heartbrook Kid feels like the most complete episode of Season 16. Great jokes, memorable guest star, relevant satire, and most importantly, nerdy continuity jokes. I freaking love their approach to religion jokes in Thank God It's Doomsday. How they're able to do their typical gags and references to evangelical Christianity, but frame it in just enough conspiracy theory whack jobbery that everyone of every religion can have a good laugh at it, whether you're Christian, Jew, or miscellaneous. Their parody of Left Behind is full of hilariously over-the-top moralizing and silly examples. Why, oh why did she baptize only one of her kids? This whole sequence is amazing. And then we get super passionate and obsessive Homer, working so hard on his mathematical formula and spreading the word. Man, I love Homer stories where he is so excited and sure of himself. It's fun seeing him organize and then deal with the consequences when, of course, he was wrong about the world ending. Then, essentially doing an extended fantasy sequence for all of Act 3. I will admit, the episode does lose me just a teensy bit with some of the heaven jokes. Homer and this guy play off of each other extremely well, but the rest is your fairly typical celebrity gags and exchanges with God. It's fine. This Jesus drawing gets a laugh. I admit, I can complain too much about wacky endings, but I appreciate that they went for it here, served up this unbelievable premise, and chose to play around with the format instead of playing it safe. We're never gonna know for sure if any of this really did happen, and it's probably better that way. I say let's enjoy the ambiguity. I waffle back and forth about which of the top 3 episodes are the best, but for me, when I think of Season 16, I think of the large-scale apocalyptic craziness of Thank God It's Doomsday. Just missing out on this list were Mommy Dearest at number 14, then Fat Man and Little Boy at number 13, Treehouse of Horror 15 at number 12, and finally Midnight RX as the Bubble episode. I suspect that leaving off the prescription drug episode might be a snub for some, but it's just never clicked for me as a package. It's filled with small individual moments that are awesome, but the story jumps all over the place that I never invest into whatever is happening. Maybe I'm just jealous of Canadian drug prices. As always, let me know in the comments what your favorite episodes of Season 16 were. Was I wrong to dismiss all those episodes in the middle? Which ones do you think are overrated? Is Home Away from Homer truly the most average episode of all time? Up next, it's time for the wacky family shenanigans of Season 17, in which Homer gets a new dad, Bart gets a new mommy, Homer and Marge get new spouses, and Sideshow Bob starts a family. I'm gonna warn you all, this is one of my least favorite seasons, but maybe it'll surprise me. Hey, worst case scenario, it'll result in a bewildering top 10 full of sighing and cope, so we can look forward to that. As always, thanks for watching.